seat?
No, you're fine. Set up back here. No worries.
Would you like to sit here when you take this?
Oh, that's fine. Oh, thank you. I'll do that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If you already tested it, so that's fine.
All right, the time is now 6:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. First thing should be the invocation and the pledge to the U.S. and Texas flag. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Herron.
Please bow your heads. Well, Father in heaven, we come before you tonight, Lord, we lift you up and thank you for this day and thank you for this new year, Lord. We just ask you to watch over this body as we deliberate things for the city. Lord, guide us, use us. Lord, help us to be servant leaders to do the bidding of the people of the city of McLendon-Chisholm. Lord, watch our thoughts, our actions. Help us to be holy and acceptable in your sight. Lord, we ask that this year that we do people's business and we bring honor and glory to you and your Son. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. God bless.
All right, as I say in all of our council meetings, the rules of decorum are in effect tonight, folks. All right, moving on to item number 4, it's going to be citizens' comments. I've got several comments up here. It looks like everybody that's filled out a comment card is wanting to discuss trash service or item number 6 on the agenda. What I'm going to ask you is if it's something that you're wanting to let us know, we were going to open up during item number 6, the agenda item, allowing you to have open dialogue with the council members concerning your trash service. If you'd like to hold your comment until then. Ma'am, I'm sorry?
You can hold on.
Okay. Is everybody in agreement that wants to talk about item number 6?
Oh, wait. If you don't mind.
Okay. I just ask that if you're going to do it under citizens' comments, I don't want you to come up and rehash it out again. All right, Ms. Dibben.
Hi, Deb Stevens, 279 Hardbridge Drive. I am probably in the minority here tonight. I want to congratulate the trash company for this smooth transition I had at my home. The new carts came, the old ones disappeared the same day. The new carts were used by the old company the next week, and the first week of trash pickup this week with CWD was smooth. Recycling was a little late, but I understand we were running a day behind with holidays, so I just want to let you guys know that I know I'm in the minority here tonight, but I was very pleased and very happy with the transition.
I agree.
Thank you very much. All right, is everybody else that was on the comment cards for item number 6 in agreement to wait until we get to that agenda item? Is that correct? Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Donovan. I guess I missed that.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Council. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I previously stated a few months ago that I would recommend that we do a citizen survey. Excuse me, we got it now? Let me reiterate my Happy New Year to everybody on the council and staff. Previously, when the fire department issue was up, I had stated that I thought we should do a citizen survey, and my desire would be that the citizen survey be very distinct, considering fire protection in the city. Since that seems to have been somewhat temporarily resolved, I wanted to take back my suggestion that we have a city survey until sometime when it's apparent that we need more information. Now, if the council deems it necessary to conduct another city survey, I prepared in a very short few minutes some sample questions that I would think would be important serving on the council, citizen staff, or the planning and zoning commission. Question 1 would be something like, what type of small neighborhood type retail businesses would be attractive in the city limits? I listed some suggestions. Question 2, what would you prefer? Would you prefer that retail and commercial establishments be located up and down city, county, state roads or located in the commercial sector? Number 3, the primary method of communicating to citizens is social media, websites, and emails. Would you like to have written newsletters or town hall meetings when important issues are before the city council? Number 4, do you receive enough information on city expenses in the city budget? Number 5, what concerns you the most about the expansion of Highway 205, which is stated to begin, ? Not sure. Now, to me, those would be citizen survey questions that I think would be important in setting policy and would be something that would gain some benefit for people or staff and within the council and other citizens. You know, questions like, do you want to maintain a rural atmosphere? Well, we all know the answer to that is, I mean, that's yes. But how you maintain and achieve that rural atmosphere, there's a lot of resources to do that. So those things, I mean, those broad politically minded questions I don't think are important in a city survey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. All right. With that, I'm going to close citizens' comments for the night. Before we move into item number 5, which is the approval of minutes, I'm going to move down to item number 19, announcements for a minute, for a couple of things. First off, I'm going to read a statement to you. I'm the mayor here of McLendon-Chisholm, and unfortunately over the weekend, there were some things that occurred that I am going to speak about. Okay? I'm going to make a statement concerning unfortunate events that occurred over the weekend. We all know that two of the most complex equations in this world are your family relationships, and in this day and age, social media. We all know that when the two come together, results can be a catastrophe or disastrous. Over the weekend, this happened to me and my family, and unfortunately it spilled over into the city's Facebook page. It is no secret that I was briefly married a long time ago, and when I was 21 and in the military. Unfortunately, military marriages often come under extreme strain and pressure, and like many marriages in the military, my previous marriage fell victim to that stress and strain. My former wife and I agreed to mutually separate and eventually divorce. Okay? Since then, I've been blessed with God to meet my wife, who's here tonight. We've been together for 22 years. We've shared a beautiful marriage, family that has survived the test of time. That being said, raw emotions can run deep, and over the weekend, reasons unknown to me, or to my family, or to my former wife, or her estranged sister decided to lash out and make untrue statements concerning me and my former wife and daughter. Thankfully, after being confronted by her sister, she voluntarily removed the claim from the city's Facebook page. I've been in contact with my former wife and my daughter, and both have expressed their sadness over the actions of another family member, and their support for me and my family currently. Meanwhile, regrettably, I've engaged an attorney to ensure that if any of this type of slander reoccurs, appropriate legal steps may be taken to protect myself and my family. I regret this incident occurred and encourage those that are concerned to pray for my former sister-in-law so that she can find peace and understanding in her unresolved anger. Thank you for listening to that. Okay? Now, unfortunately, that is what occurred in my life. I don't want to end this portion of Mayor's announcements on a bad note. On a positive note, I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Hollow, our new city attorney. Mr. Hollow. All right. Just so you know, we have a new city attorney. On top of that, nobody knew I was going to say this tonight. and they were very adamant of how good one of our city employees handled their need. Okay? I think it's very important to recognize people when citizens make it very adamant that they want you to know how great a job their employees do. Miss Lisa, I had a citizen call me and say that they requested some assistance from you, and within 5 minutes you had returned an email or a phone call to them and was in the middle of handling their process. They were so delighted at the speed in your service that they wanted to make sure I was aware of it and that something was said. Thank you for your great customer service on behalf of our city. All right. Moving on to item number 5 now. It's going to be the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve all 4 sets of minutes together?
I have a motion to,
Okay.
to approve a draft version
Of
of the minutes.
all 4? Okay, we've got a motion on the table to approve a draft of all 4. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Is there any discussion on that?
Just to, I apologize, I'm running a little late on that, but I'll be sending you some, it's just typos and stuff. And just make those corrections, would be great.
Okay. Also, just please note that Mr. Larkin had given me some corrections earlier today too, so the
Okay.
December 20th minutes do
Yeah,
have some
I did,
corrections
yes.
that I updated this afternoon. But I'm happy to receive any others.
All right, so there's no other discussion on it. Scott, you have no discussion on that, on the draft? Okay. All right, if there's no discussion, all in favor of approving them as a draft at this time? Aye?
Aye.
Show that unanimous. All right. Folks, and I don't mean to do this. I know item number 6 is very important. What I'd like to do, I'm going to skip over that for 1 minute to get to one other thing before we do that. I'd like to jump to item number 13, discussion and action regarding the agreement for fire protection services integration between the city and McLendon-Chisholm Volunteer Fire Department. This was requested by Mayor Pro Tem Turnbull. The reason I'm stepping ahead of you guys is the fire chief also conducts training with the fire department on Tuesday, trying to handle that so he can get out of here to handle some training. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Turnbull, I'm going to turn this one over to you since you're the one that requested this. Can everybody hear him okay?
No,
Yeah.
We got half and half. Hold on just a minute, Scott. All right. Go ahead and start talking, Scott. Can you hear him, folks?
Usually with the mic, oh, yes.
All right, now start speaking.
Yes.
Better?
Better. Better.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can you restate that, because I don't think...
What he's saying is he wanted to go through the list of items, the things that were done with Chief Simmons.
Very good, thank you.
You know, we have a timeline under the agreement of things that had to be done by certain times. Did you hear? 5 full-time and then several part-time.
Okay, so we do have what's needed to meet our requirements and select our system agreement.
Correct, sir. Yes, sir.
Then going down into 6, the inventory of assets that was identified, and the chief sent me that a little bit earlier. I reviewed it. There were, it was a little hard to follow, I will say that. But the one thing that I did not see on that inventory was any type of documentation concerning cash assets and liabilities as required by the contract. We were supposed to identify the assets or the liabilities as of September 30th and the assets as of the date of the transfer. Did we not do that?
Are you asking in regards to the value of the trucks that we transferred? If that's what you're asking, no, sir, we did not do that.
What about the most liquid of all assets?
We have not put any information together on that yet.
Is there a reason why that the cash, which would be the simplest since the bank produces the documents, hasn't been addressed?
No, sir, we were just focused on the vehicles and everything else, and then continuing with the process of the transition. So there's no real reason why we haven't done it. That's something that we can put together and have ready for you by next council meeting.
Okay, there was an item in 9.1, I believe it was 9.3, and I'm sorry, I did not have that contract in front of me. There was an issue that I wanted to discuss. I think it'd be very apparent that again, it comes to making sure assets were transferred with a deadline, I believe.
What?
9.1.
Here.
9.1.3,
Yeah, read that to me, please, thank you.
NCVFD shall not at any time without the prior written consent of the city collaterally assign, pledge, grant a lien or security interest in or otherwise encumber any of its rights, title, or interest in any asset claimed by NCVFD.
Okay, that is the reason why I was concerned about the cash. Because there's, and Mr. Hollow will have to confirm or deny this, but if there's been any transfer or expenditure of assets that wasn't authorized by the city, it's going to have to be replenished.
Yeah, there hasn't been any. I mean, if that's your concern, there hasn't been any cash or anything spent out of that account outside of what I know of was the attorney's fees back from the beginning.
Okay, well, I would appreciate those documents when you can get them, I thank you for that. One other thing, and I know we've discussed this before, and the reasoning was sound, you were hoping to sell the 95 pumper, and it made no sense to tie up the transfer, get the tie halfway done, and have to start to go over again, but it's been on the market, what, 60 days now?
A little over about 48 40 days that it went on the market. We were waiting on some additional detailed information that we finally were able to get off of it.
Chief, you're not going to link it to my call, you're not coming through very well.
How about that? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. Yes, the vehicle's been up for about 40 days now. We do have 2 agencies that we are communicating with that have interest in that vehicle. Of course, with the holidays, when we decided to put it out there on the market, there probably wasn't going to be much of a push. But that vehicle is still out there. The plans were for the end of this month. If it hasn't moved anywhere, then we'll go ahead and make the transfer of that title over.
Okay, I know to confirm that you said that your intention is to transfer the title at the end of January if it's not sold.
Correct, sir.
All right, thank you. Chief, I thank you for your time. She sent me were plentiful. I may ask you to explain something a little bit later, but Chief, what I was concerned with, I appreciate the way the Chief taking care of his contract.
Yes, sir.
Those were all my questions, Mayor, so unless somebody else has anything, I think we're good.
Yes, sir. Mr. Larkin, do you have anything?
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Hearn, or Mr. Hearn?
No, sir.
Ms. Baldwin? Okay. All right, we're done with item number 11. Now, Chief Simmons, you're excused if you need to go.
Thank you, Mayor.
Training. We're going to move back down to item number 6, community wastes for CWD services. Discussion and action with CWD's representative and staff regarding any trash/recycling transition-related issues and set a date for annual Extreme Green event. Before I turn it over to Councilwoman Balcom, folks, here's the one thing I'm going to ask you. You know, you expect professionals in us as your elected officials. I expect the same thing in return when we have the discussion back and forth. It needs to be professional, it needs to be polite, okay? I understand we can all get frustrated at times. It's the same thing on this side, okay? We keep it professional, so I don't have to get on to somebody. All right? All right, Ms. Balkin? Huh? All right, I'm going to open, okay. Ms. Reynolds, since you were listed on here, I know we have 3 of you. So go ahead, Ms. Reynolds.
Elaine Reynolds, 851 South State Highway 205. I think Jason answered most of my questions a while ago, but he has been wonderful. He came all the way out to my house to look at what I have, and I understand their problem that they're having with my one dumpster, but I reached out to Republic and I reached out to Waste Connections. They refused to service. I just got with Shell today because they told me they were going to be sending all the people they had out here letters. They're going to be pulling all the dumpsters. So if we can't work something out, you know, I figure Shell probably will end up going with them if they do that, and then that's probably who we'll go with. But he's been wonderful, and so I would like to say that too. You've been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Ms. Mary, how do you say your last name?
Nash.
It's just Nash, like it sounds? Okay. Ms. Nash, you're next.
I'm Mary Nash. I live at 320 Heron Circle. Ms. Balcom and I, we've had a few exchanges on the messenger on Facebook. Our problem is we do live on a private road. Before with Progressive, we did have a smaller vehicle that was coming through and servicing our trash. Now our problem is with the CWD. They're saying they do not have a truck small enough to come down the road. Obviously, with the big 2-axle trucks, it's a little bit different for us because we all pay to keep our road, you know, decent. We haven't had our trash picked up in almost 2.5 weeks. Miss Lisa did come out and she did service some of our trash, which we really appreciated. We put some out on 205 Saturday for the pickup. Now it's being said that, as of now, we will have to wheel all of our carts down to the 205 because nobody is gonna be able to come down Heron Circle. The problem with that is we do have a disabled vet at the very end of the street. We do have an elderly couple. So I do not think that is a permanent solution, obviously. I think it is something that could be taken care of, that we can all come to an agreement on. As with Waste Connection, somehow, I wasn't here whenever that was changed, but they did have a smaller truck. When the new carts were dropped off with CWD, there was a smaller truck that did drop off that Christmas Eve. So my question is, why can't they use that vehicle? Because you even told me it wasn't a city vehicle, it was a CWD vehicle that dropped off that day. We just kind of want to understand how we can make it all work together, being that, you know, we don't have to travel so far. It's not really fair that we're paying the service, we're having to wheel them all the way to 205. And, you know, it's just, it's not very feasible for anybody, obviously for the Foxes and then the elderly couple on the street. So my question is, can we try to come to an agreement on how to make this work? You know, like I said, our progressive trashes, they have not been picked up. We haven't been reimbursed. I know that's not y'all's problem. That's obviously through the other company. But we're just having a lot of issues with the whole trash transition on our roads.
No, go ahead.
I know it's past stuff, but the progressive, you said that you haven't been reimbursed yet. Was that for
No.
the last quarter?
We all paid at the beginning of December. And then we have not had a pickup from them since before Christmas.
And then the truck, I just want to make sure, because the truck that you asked was who dropped off the poly carts? And I did say that it was CWD, not the city. So now I don't know, and Jason, whenever you come up, you'll have to address what type of vehicle that is. I don't know what it is. So you actually physically saw that vehicle, and you're saying that that type of vehicle is okay to go down your street?
It's basically the same vehicle that Waste Connections was using. I don't know if it's an F-150 or an F-250 type of truck, but it has the flatbed with the railing around it. That was the same vehicle that did drop, not the Waste Connections, but for the CWD, that did come in and drop our new poly carts. So I was there that day, I saw them be dropped. I actually had no knowledge of the fact that our trash company was changing, considering he did ask about a newsletter. I never received newsletters in my mailbox, even a couple of the other neighbors have not. So the only way that I had actually found out was whenever I saw the guy coming down and he dropped off the 2 carts, and then I got the flyer that was on the cart. So that's my thing, is everybody's saying that there's not a truck small enough to come down the road, but obviously there was one that came down the road because they were the ones that dropped off the poly cart. I don't know if the issue is just the fact that nobody wants to have to service it the way that it was being serviced, but I mean, it's kind of unfair for everybody down here in Circle and then having to wheel back and forth all of our trash, and yet we're still paying for the same thing with everybody else.
And then my question is, when you say your other neighbors, are y'all in an HOA, or do y'all have like a community board? Like, how do you communicate with each other?
We're all neighbors, I mean, we all talk. We have phones, person, you know, we've all talked about everything. Anytime it has to do with something on the road, my husband, Jeremy, any of them all get together and they all discuss everything that needs to be discussed.
And we have your phone number, we have, your phone, does Lisa have your number?
No, but I put it on the.
I've got it. Information on here.
If you do leave early, 'cause I don't know how long this discussion's gonna be, if you do leave early, you'll get some feedback from us.
Okay.
So that, you know, you're getting some sort of service, what's going to happen with your road.
Okay.
And please, you know, don't stop communicating with us.
Yeah, no, that's not my problem. I know it's probably an issue. I've seen a lot of other people complaining about it. I think ours is probably a little different because it is a private road and it is a little harder to, you know, service that area, but as long as we can get it taken care of, I would appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Jeremy?
Name's Jeremy Swindoll, 321 Heron Circle. We communicate directly. I wasn't the one primarily calling and trying to take care of things, but I was overhearing what was going on. As far as me looking at this situation, and nothing against the company, but when you go to take on a job, you know exactly what the job is. It's not appropriate for us to take it down there. Me and the neighbor Rod took it down there. Not only is it a big hassle and the trash cans are very heavy, but with the elderly couple and our disabled vet, basically it's also dangerous. There's not really space. So while we were doing that Saturday night, we were also having to dodge cars. There's just not an area ready for us to do that. I understand it's going to incur a little more cost because of our situation, but going back to basically what the city is, we're still rural parts. We're not a big city. And if you take this job on, then you should understand that that's part of it. It's going to cost a little more. Eventually, maybe everything won't be so rural. I'm sure that's probably the plan. We prefer it rural at this time, but that's our situation. We're curious as to if you guys have come up with any solutions to this, or talk to CWD to find out if this truck that came down the road that day could actually pay somebody to service us to do that. And then if we did have to go with another company, would that be something that we would have to go through you guys or talk to them? I think it would be more financially reasonable that the company that's servicing the whole area and that's out here primarily all the time would use a smaller truck, incur a little more cost because that was part of the job that was bid. And I understand you guys probably aren't talking to Progressive anymore. I'm not sure what the situation is, but yeah, at some point we need those bins also picked up.
Right. If you guys want to go then and ask questions,
I don't have a question at this point, but yeah.
Okay, so, first off, Mr. Swindle, is that right? We did look at other companies, smaller companies. I think it was a total of 6, and 2 of them have pretty much is a possibility. Okay, but we're in the process. This just happened last week. But I can tell you at this point that the numbers are much higher, and it's just because of, that's just how their rates are right now, okay? So we are being proactive to try to find other solutions, because I realize, yes, there are, older generation that's living on your street, and I did not know there was a disabled vet on that street, I mentioned it. I do have a concern about the poly carts being right there next to 205, because I did see, I think it was on 550 at another private road where it was just hanging right on the road, and I don't know. Yeah, and so we definitely need to discuss that, and we invited CWD. It was already planned for them to be here to see how the transition is going to go, or how it went, and so we're going to talk about all that stuff. But anyway, just let you know, we are looking into different things. I want to make sure that there is communication. Did you put a phone number on the card?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for coming out here and sharing your comments.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Nichol.
I also want to begin by saying how impressed I was with the transfer of service to the new company. They did a near military job of executing the transition with the new carts and all. But once I picked up my cart and read through the brochure, I was somewhat confused, and I have expressed some of those questions to council. It's basically just some inconsistency, what appear to be inconsistencies in this brochure that was included in the delivery. It's particularly the statement that all trash must be in bags before you put it inside the gray cart. That was never required before, and I don't understand why that's necessary now. In further expanding on that, it wasn't clear whether wet leaves and grass clippings should be separated into different bags or if they can be handled in bulk. The only mention of bulk in here is to put them in separate bags and leave them beside the very cart. So I don't understand why some things go in the cart and some can be outside the cart if they're all in bags. And most confusing of all was the statement on here about bulk waste prohibited. It says it lists additional trash bags as the last item under that category, making it appear that additional trash bags outside the cart are prohibited. So there's just a few questions about the way the brochure was worded that had me wondering how much different this service was going to be, or if we could continue to do our trash disposal like we had in the past. Being in a rural area, I have a lot of yard waste, and I'm accustomed to just walking around the yard picking up small branches and stuff and just tossing them in the cart as is without further shredding them or rebagging them. I'd like to know if I can continue to do that. And regarding the recycle cart, we don't recycle enough to fill a cart every week. It's probably going to take me a month or more to fill that blue cart. Is it blue? Yeah. But I wondered again about putting everything inside bags before you go into that, because I had seen on television that recycle centers don't like recycled products coming in trash in plastic bags because they have to rip them open then to sort the stuff. So that was another question about recycling. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. I think we'll have some answers for you tonight on those questions. All right, Ms. Malcolm, that was all the comments, if you want to.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. And thank you all for your comments. I'll just start from the top, and then we can kind of move into what all you guys would like me to address. As for the Heron Circle, just so everybody's aware, we were not told that a pickup truck was used to service that street prior to the start of contract. That's something I found out pretty much last Thursday. We talked to the supervisor with Waste Connections. It is absolutely true that we do have a pickup truck with trailers that you saw delivering the carts. We probably have 6, 7 pickups and probably 10 or 11 trailers. However, the service we provided in our RFP was assumption that we're going to use the same truck in the whole city. So to send a pickup truck then for the same price, provided the same service is really a different cost. And it's not that it's impossible, and we're definitely working with the city on ideas to service that street. One option that I don't think I've even discussed with you all yet, but possibly CWD providing a secondary pricing if we need to use a pickup trailer or a smaller truck, if you want to call it that way, to service your street. It's simply not viable for us to charge the same and bring one pickup and 2 employees or 1 employee to pick up 5, 6 houses on one street and then drive back. It's also not viable to use that throughout the whole city because it's a trailer, then you're chasing the truck to empty the trailer and do things like that. But and then the same with Heron. And then Mr. Nichols, so with regards to the brochure, first off, you can certainly dump grass, leaves, sticks, and unbagged trash in your car. The intent was not to read that way, but more so that it's to prohibit residents from having additional trash bags every week, 6 or 7 sitting outside their cart. When if that's the case, it should be that they have a 2nd or 3rd trash cart. Now that's, again, also not to say that if you have 1 extra bag as you cleaned out your closet this weekend, that we're not gonna pick it up. Of course we will. The whole idea of having everything inside the cart is to just keep those from having additional trash bags outside. Now again, with the trash bags outside, if you have grass and leaves and you have 6 or 7 of them, you'd stack them up next to your cart because they obviously wouldn't fit in the cart along with your normal trash, and that would be picked up considered bulk. And you also do not need to bag your recyclables. I think that's just to kind of help communicate to use a blue bag if you are, not to put it in a black bag and put it in your recycle cart because then it causes even more issues. That's all I have.
Can you leave your contact information if we have any follow-up?
Yes, Mr. Turnbull. were you saying about the different colored trash bags?
That's for recyclables, so if you are to bag your recyclables, many people do, they don't want an empty soda bottle accumulating at the bottom of the recycle cart. If you are to bag recyclables, it needs to be in a clear or blue bag so that our driver can confirm it's not contaminated with trash.
Do you hear that about being in a clear bag? Or, yes, if you bag your stuff, either clear or blue bag.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, but if you do.
It's just a
I don't understand that from the grocery themselves, so, that's just been done.
But it's not a requirement, correct?
That's correct.
It's what's specified. I have some questions for him about mine.
Sure.
Go ahead.
And now, it just left me. I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, while Mr. Turnbull's getting his thoughts, if I can just make a statement.
Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
For those who don't know, at the end of Heron Circle, is Corporal Michael Fox. He is a U.S. Marine, retired, medically retired, double amputee, who his home was built and gifted to him through Homes for Troops. So he and his family chose McLendon-Chisholm as their home. He's not a native Texan, but they chose this as their home. I'm not saying that we have a favored citizen status, but there's a large community of veterans here. And we've got a veteran who was gifted his home, who is a double amputee, who's given pretty much his all for his country. And it is important that we make sure that we don't put extra burdens on him. And he is, while he is no more important than any other citizen in this city, he's somebody we should concentrate on making sure that his life path is easy. And so we need to strive every which way we can to make sure that this gets solved in a satisfactory way. And I think this home was gifted to him back in, I think, 2014. There was a large ceremony and everything like that. His was, I think, Home for Troops. They have Homes for Heroes. They built one of those out in High Point Lake Estates. So several veterans are getting that kind of stuff. Just, if you didn't know who he is, you know, he's a low-key, very unique citizen of our community. And that, to me, is very important. I agree, though, that this is a city, and there's a contract, and we need to find a way to service it, and we need to be fair to all citizens. And so, I will throw out one additional concern, and when we start talking about servicing the different types of trucks, one of my big concerns is to make sure that the service is serviced